but we're going to cut it at some point. Yeah, so in our own time, I guess, my own time. What's it called again?
It's season 2, episode 3.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so hello and welcome back to the Popshock Podcast. We are a pop culture, mainly film podcast. My name is George. I'm joined by Massimo and Dan. I'm Irish, they're Scottish. That's pretty much the whole thing of the podcast. So our topic for this week is mystery media, which is a topic I came up with, so I said I'd do the intro. Stuff that you saw as a kid when you were younger, maybe before the internet. The guys are a little bit younger than me, so they had less time without the internet. So yeah, stuff that either scarred you for life, just looked cool, but you never found out what it was until years later. I have a number of them, and one of them, like, I think I only found out last week. So yeah, that's the topic. And what do we do now? Just what we've been watching. I don't know, I feel way different now that I had to do the intro. I think
you introduced me flailing about, and there's a small fruit fly that I'm trying to catch. Just fair warning.
Suddenly got all blurry.
Oh, it's fine. We're looking at it. There we go.
The fly episode.
Well,
the fly episode of Popshock.
Hello, I'm Massimo.
I introduced you, didn't I?
Yeah, but like we have to say who we are unless there's
you also got to mention it. In season 2, episode 3, we're on.
Shite. Well, I said we're a podcast, so they'll get that.
They'll get it.
They'll get it, Jess. We love it.
Everyone's a fucking podcast. That's true. Massimo, yeah, what's the crack? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys doing? I'm good. Yeah. It's been a fun week.
Right, hold on. We need to address what's on your upper lip. We need to discuss.
Oh yeah, I didn't even cut that.
It sort of looks like the name Hart of you, right? You're a handsome boy, right? But those luscious eyebrows look like you've just took an extra one off and put it above your fucking below your nose.
3 now.
It's like it's
the same. It's the same shape and everything.
I don't know why you didn't just go get a Super Mario hat and just lean.
I know exactly. Really, at this stage.
Like just went to
also my wife. That was also another one as well. Really.
Listen, it's still better casting than Chris Pratt. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't even notice that. I've been talking
exactly. We've been talking. Me and Jared have been talking before this
for like an hour.
For an hour, like 30 minutes an hour. Yeah, fully did not notice the fact that I had this on my top lip. No impulse decision. Moustache Massimo is here for this episode. I'm not the evil twin of regular Massimo. No one needs to worry.
You like something from like
dashing.
The 70s, like Tom Selleck. Yeah. You're giving. I mean, that's a compliment. Like that's a good mustache.
I'll take Magnum PI any day of the week. I have had less complimentary things, less flattering things said about it over the past week.
You look like you could be some guy in the 70s.
Some guy, I'll take it.
Guy, like a 70s
guy. But yes,
Dan, how are you?
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm grand, lads. I'm all right. I'm a bit hungover. Not gonna lie. It was a big party last night, so classic I'm a bit hungover. But yeah, exactly. Just the usual.
Classic drinking Dan.
One thing that I guess we should address you did some actual journalism this week, the two of you.
We did.
It's a rare thing. It's a rare thing.
Yeah, it's a real job. We both have. Yeah, we're trying.
I guess who wants to go first?
Massimo, you tell us about Big Viggo. How did that go?
So yes, I had the opportunity this week to interview Viggo Mortensen of Lord of the Rings fame. Aragorn, of course, as most people will know him. It was great. He was in Glasgow for the Glasgow Film Festival. And one of the places I do freelance were offering people to individuals go out and cover it, and I happened to be one of the people who was first on the docket and managed to get it. And
always love coming back to Scotland. I mean, I go to Orkney mainly, but I come through Glasgow a few times, and there's a warmth and there's a kind of feeling of like belonging here that I like. I don't have that. I have that in London, but in a different sense. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very proud to be showing our film here and being here with you and being able to, like I said, bring my family down and get them to see it. So.
So what is it? Has it been like working with Viggo on this project overall? Obviously, Viggo. Come here.
Can you go over there while I answer this? Yeah. No, it was fantastic. I mean, I played it pretty cool when we were working together. But Viggo's someone I've watched, growing up. Some of the films I've seen of his got me into acting, and it felt very. I never felt like I was out of place. I felt like it could have been for a young actor coming into something like this, but it was very welcoming, and you put a lot of faith in me, which I thought hopefully paid off.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it was
well deserved.
It's special.
You miss being on horses together.
We did, yeah. We had a great time.
In the film, in a dream sequence, there's a knight, and the knight has a particular sword that many people may be familiar with. Can you tell me a little bit how that came about and how that got featured into the film?
Well, I got permission. It's a medieval knight, and I couldn't think of a better sword than that one, so I asked Peter Jackson and the film company that made the Lord of the Rings if I could have permission. And they said, well, what are you doing with it? How important? I said, you'd be lucky if you even notice it, I said, which is true. Those who are fans would obviously recognize the shape of it. So.
How have you been enjoying yourself in Scotland then so far?
Just got here last night. So far, so good. Yeah, I'd only been to Scotland one other time. Maybe 2 times I've been to Edinburgh. But my mother's side of the family, they're from here, from the Western Scotland. So I got to look into it more, where they're from, and try to find those places.
And do you feel kind of grateful that your film has been selected to be in the lineup of the Glasgow Film Festival?
Very, very, very. I'm really glad it's being shown here first. Actually, not just UK, but Europe, to the public. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it was really interesting. On the red carpet, got to ask him about his new film. His co-star as well, called Solly McLeod, who was also in an interview. Really nice, lovely guy. Scottish born, but has grown up in London. But Viggo Mortensen was phenomenal. Very soft spoken, very lovely, and I got him to crack a smile at one of my questions. Career highlight already. It was really good. I got to ask him a Lord of the Rings centric question as well, because Aragorn's sword and the Rohirrim appears in the film itself, which was really interesting. Which is the film is called The Dead Don't Hurt. Don't Hurt.
Dead Don't Hurt.
Dead
Yeah,
Don't Hurt.
and I guess is that. Did he say something like in the dream sequence?
So in the dream sequence, one of the main characters is a knight that shows up and stuff like that. It's like kind of it's a female-led western kind of film.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I really
Where
want
is it set?
It's set in kind of the frontier. I think during the 1800s.
Oh right. I guess I just thought it was like shot in Scotland or something.
No. It's just
written
the
there.
film is premiering had its European premiere at Glasgow Film Festival.
Very good, yeah.
Which was really good as well. For those who don't know, Glasgow Film Festival is a film festival that's in Glasgow, run by at one of the local film theatres called the Glasgow Film Theatre, the GFT, one of Glasgow's oldest independent cinemas, one of the only ones left, I believe now. It was really, really, that's like it's 20th year as well of running, and this year's lineup was fantastic, and had a Viggo Mortensen film, and he came and he was lovely.
I didn't. He's Scottish heritage.
So yes, we found out that his mum's family is actually from the west of Scotland, which kind of an exclusive thing that me and a few other reporters there uncovered, and it featured in an interview that I did. So it was really interesting, and that quote basically ran everywhere, which was really cool. Yeah. Really, really cool. That one in the Lord of the Rings question actually ran most publications, so that was fun. It was really cool. But yeah, all in all, pretty good week.
Shout out to the ones that credited you properly. Shout out to the ones that credited you properly, and the ones that didn't can go and screw themselves.
Okay, so the actual I guess I did pick up like last week when we were recording, I had no idea that either of you were doing what you were doing this week. But I guess we didn't follow up on it much during the week. That's cool, yeah. But Glasgow also has like because friends of mine would have worked in not Glasgow, it's Edinburgh, but Scotland in general has a very big kind of like film festival, film industry. Would you say you're
massive,
like film wise? Because in the last couple of years, the Batman is shot there. Do you have a lot of stuff like that?
Oh yeah,
uses Glasgow.
They're putting more money into it as well, aren't they?
Yeah. We had World War Z was one of the first big ones I remember within memory. We had the Flash, we had the Batman, we had Batgirl. Yeah, the chase scene in the Flash at the start of the film on the Batbike with the hospital scene. When Batman's that's George Square.
And he drives
right in
over
centre of Glasgow.
see the bridge that takes you up into like Charing Cross, like that bit. You can
Yeah.
climb up that part as well at one point.
Yeah,
You say
very
Shannon Cross.
Charing
Charing
Cross.
All right.
Charing
I was like,
Cross.
there's a Shannon. We've a Shannon Cross.
It's a very local reference,
There's a
I guess.
Charing
'cause-
Cross. No, there's a Charing Cross in London. They've
Oh
got
yeah,
Charing
so
Cross
there's
as well.
Charing Cross
Oh, there's
Station.
Shannon, not
Yeah.
mine.
Charing or Charing.
And so with Viggo,
Big
Viggo.
Viggo.
That's his name. Oh, sorry, Viggo. I was thinking like, is that like a nickname version?
Viggo.
No, that's not his name. I guess I didn't know what to expect when he was opening his mouth when I saw it. I was like, I couldn't really picture. I couldn't really audio what his voice would be like.
Is he very tall?
He's
Hard to. He's tallish, probably the same height as me.
All right.
The other guy who was with him was slightly taller, so when you look at the two of them,
Yeah.
he does look smaller. He does look a bit smaller, but very
He's on
soft-spoken
screen.
individual.
On screen, always looks really quite a
Yeah.
foreboding figure, you know. And
Remember, Dan, he is surrounded by hobbits.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, I was going to say, like, you mentioned the Lord of the Rings thing. That's what I know him least from. Like, I know him from like Eastern Promises and The Road.
Yeah.
And, like, Green Book and all this other stuff. I've seen like the Lord of the Rings film years ago, but like things like I don't know, just other like History of Violence and stuff. That's what I think of when I think of people.
Yeah.
I watched History of Violence. I was like, didn't do anything for me.
Oh.
I know a lot of people like love
Right.
it, but like I don't know.
But yeah, no.
Did he do another film like with the same director like a year or two before or after? Did he do like two with that
Hang
guy?
on, let's have a look. But no,
Sorry, Massimo, from meeting you in person, you're not that tall.
I'm 6'1".
He's a respectable height.
Yeah, I'm 6'1".
Shit, I misremembered that altogether.
Yeah,
I'm serious, Dan.
I think you've actually got about half an inch on me.
You're actually taller than me. Shit.
Yeah.
Half an inch.
Because in my head, I was like, "Oh, Massimo is quite short," but like, obviously, you're not. Then I think that was it. I was surprised. I always thought you were shorter, but then when I met you, I realized you were quite tall. Yeah.
To be fair, I the first time I met Massimo, I was like, "Oh yes, he's taller than I thought." I don't know why, but yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I'd forgotten that.
It's because I'll tell you what. It's because I spend most podcasts slump like this. I'm like this.
Because you're sitting down. That tends
Because
to
I'm
have
sitting
effect
down.
on the height
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Like,
No, I always thought. I used to always think I was 6'1", and I was never really sure. I didn't really want to check too much, but the doctor actually just told me I'm like 5'11". I'm like, oh shit.
I thought for
Actually,
years
not
I was.
that
So
light.
this is a side tangent, but I thought for years I was 5'11",
Height.
and then there was a thing in my work, like a measuring thing, and I stood under it, and I'm like almost 6'1", like I'm 6'1.5", and I was like, oh Jesus,
I'm like,
I gained about an inch and a half today.
I always say I'm 6'1". I'm like 6'08". Like I'm just above.
Well, that's
yeah,
what I was
close
just
enough.
below
Yeah.
6'1". Yeah.
But I'm like, I always say it and stuff like that.
Yeah, you round up. You round
because-
up.
Yeah. Why would you round up?
Yeah, that's so funny. Even meeting you in person hasn't corrected my thought of how tall you were. Like, I'm
Listen,
just so.
he might have
stuck
had
with that.
that nice pair of heels on at the wedding. You know,
Exactly. Yeah. No,
He was
I
dressed up.
li-
So
Listen, I could easily
a pair of
be
lifts, a pair of
Mario-side.
platforms.
I had a mushroom beforehand in shop.
Yeah.
Because you're rich.
Yeah, the moustache. Think about
so,
it.
Viggo Mortensen,
Love the guy. Love the guy. Honestly.
Yeah. We'll
Cannot
put the clip. I guess I don't know. We'll put the clip
here.
Before we talked about it first, so we talked about it after. Do you know? We'll
It's fate to be go.
Yeah, and then I guess Dan. So you're next in the.
So we got the chance to interview Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatriz for Twisted Metal, the TV show adaptation. That was all through
Freaking
Fandom
America.
It was all through Fandom, so unfortunately we won't be able to use those clips, but I can talk about the experience. Yeah, they were both really cool. It was one of those interviews where we didn't know what was happening for like a while. We get teased with, the full cast. It was like, oh, do you want an interview with Anthony Mackie, Neve Campbell, like Will Arnett, like everybody? And I was like, yes, please, yes. And then they were like, oh no, it might not be Anthony, it might just be Stephanie and Will Arnett. And I was like, still, I'll take it as Will Arnett. Do you know what I mean? And then they turned around and they were like, oh, no, we've got some time with Anthony, so if you're up for it. So it was a wee 15 minutes. It wasn't just me, it was me and a few other outlets. I think it was Total Film and Sony with the other ones. And it was a kind of round table. But it was only like I think it was me and 3 other outlets, and then Anthony and Stephanie, both in their own kind of streams. But that was grand. They were lovely. They very much the strange thing about it, I don't know, obviously yours was in person, Master, it might be different. See, because I was watching it on a screen, even though I knew for a fact that I was asking a question and he was responding to it. See, because I spent so many years watching him on screen, it kind of felt like a recording, even though it was
See-
live. It was the weirdest thing. I was like
See,
you don't expect to look at Anthony Mackie say something and then hear him respond. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that's a strange.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
See,
it's a bit bizarre.
looking Viggo Mortensen dead in the eyes, maintaining eye contact with him while he's about like I'd say like this close. Do you know what I mean? They're very hard,
Yeah.
but like within within spitting distance.
Spit on Viggo.
But like within that sort of distance, and you can see how close I was as well on in the interview footage. Anyway, I just I get it, man. Like asking him something, and him responding and looking directly in the eyes and seeing him respond, and then
You're just no, but I get it. I'm just so disappointed.
It's crazy, yeah.
To see them on screen.
It's like when like he also gives a reaction to your question, and you're like, oh, that like ah.
But at the same time, my whole thing before it was because like I've done some interviews. Like I spoke to Stephanie Justin for Metal Gear Solid, who was really nice, and I spoke to some people that are fairly high profile in certain circles. Anthony Mackie is by far the most famous person I've ever spoken to for an interview. I mean, I've met a few musicians and stuff in real life, but that's to. The thing before it though, I was like, see, to be honest, if I was doing this kind of interview, especially in a round table setting, you would want to be treated like a normal human being. You don't want to be worshipped as this Captain America icon. Like he is just a guy in his house talking.
I've got
that's all it is. Lovely house, by the way. See the background image. Oh,
He was in his house. That's crazy.
It was a lovely big open window, by the way, gorgeous curtains and this nice fancy ass sofa and stuff. And Stephanie was in like a home booth, so it was like obviously where she does her voice stuff from home. She looked great. She had like a short hair, but it had been all like curled and juiced up, and she was wearing like a dress as if she was dressed for like an occasion. She looked great. And Anthony Mackie is just handsome Anthony Mackie. So charming. And I made him do the laugh at one point. I can't remember what it was I said, and he did the like,
It's kind of a Seth Rogen laugh, doesn't he?
Yeah, kind of. I guess kind of deep, like
a little bit.
They're in the night before together.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh yeah, so they are. Yeah.
The comedy one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
The stoner comedy.
Yeah.
Oh sure, yeah. I watched it at Christmas again.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched that, and this time I was like, actually no, this the only scene that's good is the piano Kanye scene. It's kind of shit.
That's okay.
I really wanted to
like
like
Michael
this,
Shannon,
but like
Michael
it's
Shannon's good
not
at
that good.
He's good at it.
I like Michael Shannon. I love Seth Rogen. Who's the John?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
JGL, John.
I
I have a story related to the Viggo Mortensen thing with talking about treating them like a human being. So because I was there on behalf of an actual press outlet, I had to put aside my nerdiness for the day. Like I was there for a radio session. I had to be professional, even though I have the fucking sword tattooed on my arm. Right. So I had to be professional, and I was dressed, suited and booted, suit and tie, all that kind of stuff, whatever, right? And I was there with an outlet. I was right there for a few other proper journalists who work for like media outlets, and then it kind of at the end of the red carpet, where individuals who were maybe blog individuals or those kind of things.
Oh.
Someone got them to sign their phone case.
Maybe a journalist thing, but yeah,
it's a no. If there was time,
yeah.
If there was time, but they were on a tight schedule, they were getting waved along through people. There was a reason I only had 2 questions.
Oh, I get you.
Then it had to be thing.
Yeah.
And
if there's time afterwards, fair enough. But yeah, totally agree.
But he also had a Q&A he had to get to, which was ticketed and stuff like that, and had that. And then he also was. People were lined up outside the barriers. You could probably put the footage in here now. Whatever. He was signing and stuff like that, and signing people's all the shit. So I was like, I was like, cool, I'm gonna interview him. That's the experience. That's the thing of it. Let him go, and obviously get something signed would be fantastic, right? Cool, but whatever, won't have the time. And he didn't. He went on, but that's the thing for me. Like as a journalist, like yeah, cool, but you have to put aside the fan aspect of it. If you had time, absolutely.
Before you showed your tattoo, I was like, and you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, aren't you?
A
proof
big
is
Aragorn
needed.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this face. Uh,
Sorry, plug it in my
Um,
but
yeah, when you were saying blogs, I thought that was going to go another way. I thought it was like, oh yeah, super Lord of the Rings fans. I was like, what?
I mean,
I thought it was going to be something horrible.
the person who did get it signed was a big Lord of the Rings fan, and they would do like a live from the red carpet thing.
I was thinking cosplay.
Cosplay,
and, like,
yeah, imagine. Oh my god.
proposal of marriage or something.
Oh.
there was somebody,
level.
I won't name names, but there was somebody in my collective interview who was quite just he didn't ask questions about Marvel, but he kept bringing being a star from Marvel, being in the Captain America movies, being blah, and I was like, right, we get it. Like it was just every question he had to preface it with that, and I was
Preface
like,
it,
the guy must
yeah.
be so
Yeah.
sick of like hearing about it. Again. And he had like a Marvel backdrop behind him. He had like a big shield, and he had like all this stuff behind him. And I was like, mate,
Oh,
rein it in.
sweet.
Like, I don't know. I was a bit.
Oh, sorry, the guy. I thought you meant Anthony.
No.
Mackie.
No.
Anthony
The
Mackie.
interviewer. Like he might have the Captain America t-shirt on. Like he was just a bit too over enthusiastic.
You have-
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's
need
to
to
be
rein it in,
a bit professional about it, but
But see, with the Marvel stuff, you get people who like that's all the superhero actors. Like they get hunted for those kind of quotes in everything, and then like one person gets something, it's everywhere, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. I would have thought there would have been like so, but it was with your one. It was more on the gaming aspect, is because he was in
So
Twisted Metal, and is that not out already? Like, how come he was doing the interviews now?
because it's coming. Well, it has been renewed for season 2, but
Mhm.
because originally I thought that was why we were doing the interview, but it's not. It's because it's coming to Paramount Plus in the UK, so it's not.
available here.
It's on Peacock in America, so it's only just been brought to the UK.
Okay. So I definitely saw the bit I saw of it in a completely legal way.
Mhm.
I mean, I
must
get
be,
sent,
what else
I get sent all the episodes through, the press thing, so I'm all good. I'm covered.
Yeah.
But
I hear it's good. I didn't even, it wasn't even me.
do
that.
you want to know
I
what
knew
is
that was.
interesting about it? On certain websites, I believe it was originally broadcast in America as a 10-episode show or 8 episodes. The version that's coming
Anything
to
a little
Paramount
bit.
Plus, the UK one, it's condensed into 5 episodes. So I think they're longer and it's been re-edited. So it's
okay.
it's still the complete story,
Okay.
but there's still some
Interesting.
stuff cut out, and there's certain episodes at different lengths and things like that. So it's a kind of
Interesting.
different version of it. But yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, they
Yeah.
were both cool, man, and it's a good show. And it was nice to be there as the only kind of dedicated gaming outlet, because everybody else was like Total Film and things like that. So they were also asking more questions about him being a producer on the show and things like that. Whereas I could turn around and ask kind of all the gaming questions. I basically had dibs on like, did you play the game? When you played the game, did you ever see it becoming a show? That I kind of had dibs on that shit because everybody else was asking
Did he
more kind of film stuff.
did he do the usual? Oh yeah, or like did he say he played the game when he was younger?
He
or
told
whatever?
me that he grew up playing the game, and he was really shit at it. He was like, I've never won a single game with Twisted Metal. He's like, I'm really, really bad at it.
Yeah,
And
I think a lot of people played that.
he was
you know,
saying
yeah.
now that he played it with his kids, to be like, to show them it and be like, this is the kind of shit we used to play. And they were like, is this it? Like, you just get in a car and crash into each other. Like, what's the story? And he was like, that's it. Like, that's the story. And they were like, what? I'm going to go play Halo. Like, but yeah, no, it was good.
It's supposed to be pretty good though. The show, I think a lot of
Oh, it's
people
great.
like it.
I'm not just saying that because I was doing an interview. I really enjoyed the show. Honestly, very pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but it's a lot of fun.
No,
I
the
heard-
trailer didn't make it look like anything, and even I saw it. As I was saying, I watched a little bit with my friend who was watching it, but like it didn't seem like much.
Because
Yeah, no,
Mackie plays.
He's great in it. Yeah, he's great in it.
He plays. Is it Miles?
John
What's
Doe.
his name?
Just John
John
Doe
Doe?
is
The
his name.
character.
He's just
I
like a
don't
blank
Because
canvas.
like Needles the Clown in it as well is Samoa Joe, but voiced
Yeah,
by
and
Will
Miller
Arnett.
Knight. Yeah,
Yeah,
Will Arnett voices
but
him.
it's
Okay,
the body's
okay.
Samoa Joe.
the boy Samoa Joe. But
Yeah,
also
nice.
he wears a clown mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
didn't know that. I fucking love Will Arnett.
they were saying how like it
Bojack.
was like the creative dream though, because you're getting given the keys to this established world
keys.
with all these like
Keys.
iconic all these like iconic characters like Needles and whatever, but there's no story. They can do whatever they want. They can tie it in together however they want. Like they've got the world, got the characters, they've got the iconic imagery, but they don't have like anything that they have to stay faithful to. So
Well, kind of obviously two wildly interesting experiences for me and Dan on kind of varying aspects of everything. You talked a little bit there about Dan of having like, a story in an individual world. And I want to talk about it because it came out this week. We got the trailer for the Fallout show.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
The
Had a
full
brand
I
new
mean, we had the
story,
teaser.
Yeah, we got the full trailer, and we now know it's coming April 11th.
There's there's so much bad faith already on Reddit and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but it's just for me
I like the look
that's
of
what's
it.
annoying me. Me too, and I
Also-
don't care if it's not 100% like faithful and
But Fallout is a game where you get to play and choose your own characters
Exactly.
anyway, so it's your own
a
path.
create your own adventure. Yeah.
I had a conversation with my friend where I was like, "Oh, it's its own original story," and he was like, "Yeah, well, that's what Fallout is. No path, and the Fallout's the same." Also, the fact that the Brotherhood of Steel power armor looks practical, which I'm a big fan of,
Which is
rather
impressive.
than like,
yeah.
it
Looks tactile.
partly.
It looks like
Like
you touch
Iron-
it,
like Iron Man 1 style, not Endgame and Infinity War style
Sure.
Iron Man suits, like very tactile and kind of good looking, which I
Is that the very kind of iconic mask?
Yeah,
with
on the cover,
A
yeah.
bit stormtroopery, but a bit different. Yeah. I never played them now. I don't know. So it's just they're. So are none of the characters in the show in the game at all?
I think
Not
so. I think
strictly speaking.
I think
It's-
What
They
about
may have a few Easter eggs. I
Willy
think,
Gogs?
but- No, I mean there's
Is Willy Gogs
ghouls.
another guy? No.
There's ghouls in the games,
And
and there's like
the Brotherhood of
gunslinger
Steel
characters,
was the Brotherhood of Steel is like a
a
sometimes
unit like that. yeah.
antagonist, sometimes part of your protagonist's journey, depending on what sort of path you go down.
And what era you're in.
And what year, and what year you're in as well, the Fallout universe. But it looks like it's its own individual thing, and it's really cool, and I'm kind of excited for it. And yeah, I think adaptations are going to be sick. I guess
Also,
that kind of maybe
Walton Goggins is just great. I'll
Yeah.
watch it again. Anything.
he's phenomenal.
Wally
Wally
Gogs.
Gogs. I think that kind of goes into what we're reading, what we're watching, I guess, as well. If you want to do that, if you want to hop into that. I feel like I'm
Keep going.
taking away the show away from you, Jared, but like,
I just want to redo the intro,
Yeah,
just to
there you
kind
go.
of get it concise for the edit.
for the edit,
Aye.
for the
I also want to hear from
yeah, I'm
Jared
grand,
because we've been kind of hogging our experiences. So, Jared, what you've been watching and playing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, Fallout. I fell out of Fallout. I never played it, so I don't know. And yeah, I didn't interview anyone famous this week. So that's cool.
You did see Ian McKellen walking up the street. or,
Yeah,
usual
well,
thing.
that was a while ago. There was that. I don't know if we ever put that on the pod.
I think we did.
Well,
That had to be right.
really awkward Syrian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was doing a show in Dublin, and I was at a doctor's appointment earlier that week, or in the area. So when I was just walking back through town, I was like, man, imagine if I met him now, because it was the day the show was starting. And then I saw him, and I just said, I couldn't help it. I just said, Syrian. And he just kind of nodded and
hang on.
kept walking.
Me and Jared have both met a cast member of Lord of the Rings, which means by
Oh, yeah.
law, Dan's next.
I'll
Yeah.
get an Elijah interview. Don't you worry. He's a gamer.
Elijah
likes the game.
Yes,
I know that.
Yes, he's got his own. studio.
Famously, Back to the Future 2. Playing
Yep.
the game.
Yeah. There's the kid at the. He also has his own studio as well that released a game for the Xbox One when it was first
That's
came out.
right. That's what he did.
Get the fuck out.
A
Cool.
while ago, that, but yeah,
Um,
remember that.
What have we been watching? So I finished Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, I believe it's called.
Who is it?
It's the animated series on Netflix, produced by Edgar Wright, but co-written at least by the original writer of the comics, which is O'Malley, isn't
Yes, yeah. Chris O'Malley?
it? Scott,
O'Malley?
no.
It's Chris.
Director adapted from, I'll get it here quick. Brian Lee O'Malley.
Brian.
So, and then all the original cast from the film return. Like, everybody is crazy. I'm pretty sure there's no one missing. So yeah, it kind of takes not that it takes it, but it's very similar to Kevin Smith's He-Man retelling thing,
Right.
where they make, I guess, the female protagonist, they kind of make the female protagonist like the hero, He-Man or Scott Pilgrim. In this, apparently, he is killed in his first fight. So it's nearly exactly the film up until his first fight, where he seemingly is killed. And we're back. I don't know what happened there. So Ramona becomes the main character, and then the other kind of evil exes, actually all apart from Egg, who was in Arrested Development. I think she's maybe in one episode, but she blink and you miss her, she's gone. But yeah, Chris Evans' character gets a lot to do in like one or two of the episodes, just kind of make him a nice guy. The first guy who has the demon ladies, the guy who seemingly kills Scott, gets a lot to do. He kind of takes over Jason Schwartzman's role as the Gideon. Gideon was like the leader of all the evil X's. And then it's just it's fun. There's like a bit of action. It's the same kind of vibe as the film, but maybe they have a little bit more I don't know, freedom with animation to do it a little bit more. It just kind of tells a different story. It plays on things, and even, which is very interesting, Audrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza, yeah.
Aubrey Plaza. So she's in it. I don't know if she's Scott's sister in the original one. Yeah. But she ends up dating Jason Schwartzman's character, who just loses everything and whatever. But they kind of leave it. Well, I guess that's maybe a spoiler. She might have more to do in the next season, so like it might, or there may be more, which I don't think. It's not too specific, but just certain characters. It's just interesting because she's a more famous actor now, and she's a lot going for it, that she's maybe brought into the limelight if it does return. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's, I don't know how many, like 8 episodes or something on Netflix.
That with Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, the original author like did a lot of reflection on what he wrote originally and realized that it was very much from a place of being like in his early 20s when he wrote
Younger.
it.
Yeah.
And like being angsty and like kind of like that kind of thing. And then he's had obviously so much time to reflect it, and he's then now told the story that he originally kind of wanted to tell, or like an updated version.
Yeah. So there isn't, speaking of kind of maybe the story that was told originally and like looking back on it, which you're saying the writer changed some things. What is kind of weird is, so in it, Scott is still dating a 17-year-old when he's like 27 or something, and she's still in school. They don't really touch on that. They kind of just openly say it, but then I think they actually make more of a comment because, spoiler alert, Chris Evans' character, who's an actor in it, ends up playing Scott Pilgrim in the Scott Pilgrim film. And I think they make more of a comment about his character dating a 17-year-old that they don't seem to, unless I missed it when it first happened, they don't seem to make any real comment on the fact that Scott's dating a 17-year-old, which I love the original film for a long time. It was like one of my favorite comic book type films just because they had a lot of fun action in it. But that's like, as time goes on, you're like, why did it have to be that? It's kind of weird now. I think he's supposed to be like 21, maybe.
I think he's the same age as me. He's 22, 23. Like,
you're that young, man. Fucking hell. Jesus, don't be dating any.
I think that goes without saying. Right, this mustache may be deceiving, right? But I'm not. It's not about that.
Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, I think he's like you said. I didn't actually. I keep forgetting you're that age. But yeah, it's still enjoyable. But just that thing, because like I did notice it towards the end, unless they mentioned it earlier in the season, because I kind of watched it kind of split up. Unless they mentioned it earlier, they only make a comment about the fact that Chris Evans' character is playing a character who dates a 17-year-old, without actually mentioning anything about Scott. I guess Scott is conveniently not in it for a while, but very good. What about yourselves, lads? What have you been watching?
I'll go first. I started watching the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action show that is on Netflix.
The new one, is it? That's what it is. Yeah, because I was confused if it was a film.
Yeah,
so
it's the live action adaptation of the animated TV show, which I do love. It's fantastic. I have friends who love it. The animated, the live action show so far is good. I've only watched like the first 2 episodes of it. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great. They've changed some bits around, but it flows a lot better plot wise. The actual show itself is technically longer than the first season of the animated show, like the live action one, but that's because like each episode is like an hour long of the Netflix TV show, so they get through a lot of like the first episode gets through like the first maybe 2 episodes or 3 episodes of the animated TV show. I think I'm right.
Okay.
So it's like that. It's like quite sped up timeline wise and stuff like that. A lot darker from the outset, but I kind of dig it. Like, for context, Avatar: Last Airbender is one of my is people can control elements in the world and stuff like that. People aren't familiar with it, whatever. And the main character is basically someone who has the ability to master all 4 of the elements: so it's air, water, fire, and air. And the first episode has a full thing where all of his people are basically massacred by the Fire Nation. And it's not like graphic, but the implied fact, like, you're watching people get like lit on fire. Like, yeah,
that's particularly what the characters do.
The firebenders and stuff. So like it's dark from the outset. Like it's something that like the show builds to that, and it does become that in the later animated seasons and stuff like that. You see how you know, but for a kid show, but it's still like you're like, wow, this is quite brutal.
And it's how many seasons is the original animation?
3 seasons, 3 books. That's what they kind of call it. And then you have the sequel series, which is The Legend of Korra, which takes place later. And they're also bringing out an animated film that is a sequel to the original Avatar series as well later next year, I think, made by the original people.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it so far. So that was kind of the main thing I have been watching. In terms of reading, though, I started reading. So this is what I was going to say. Declan Shalvey is one of your favorite, right, artists? Who's that? Is that Dan? Does Dan like Declan Shalvey?
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, so Irish Marvel artist and writer. He's the guy who drew my Banshee portrait.
So there's a comic from Image Comics that is called Time Before Time. That I believe
I have like 40 issues of it up there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Really, really, really good. I read the first, I think about 25, 30 issues in. I just kind of binged it all. I was reading it online and stuff. Yeah. Phenomenal. Really, really, really good. Really solid time travel story. Really interesting plot. Don't want to give too much away. No, it's basically set, the main character is a smuggler, but he smuggles things back in time or forward in time. And it's really like well told. The main characters are really interesting, really funny. You warm to them really quickly, and you realize that maybe not all is what it seems in this kind of weird fugitive corporate greed where people are using time travel to smuggle things. And the bad guys aren't maybe the bad guys, and the good guys aren't maybe always the good guys. I don't want to spoil. It's very difficult to kind of.
I only got a little bit into it. The one thing I noticed, because not to get too specifics, but it did have stuff about shipping, and I was like, that seems well researched, because they when they're transporting stuff. So he writes it. I don't think he draws an awful lot of it, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
different artists come in.
And
maybe some Irish artists, other Irish artists are on it. I was just it was the second book I added to my Dan. I think those audio things might be playing there.
That might be me in the background. Don't worry about it. TV's loud in the other room.
TV. All right, cool. No worries. I thought I heard like a 1950s alien spaceship kind of sound effect. Like, oh,
maybe I believe that's opera, Jared.
Well, there you go.
But yes, Time Before Time. Is great. Really, really good. Really worth the read. Again, I said I'm almost finished it. Kind of took a break from it for a minute, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's the first comic I've sat down and read from a while that isn't one of the big two.
I haven't. My buddy got me on to. Let me see. I got it up here. A DC. Actually, he snuck a DC book on me, but I haven't started it yet. 1 second now. Another thing, just while I'm trying to find it here, I guess more Spider-Man comics. I've been catching up on. So there's the main book has Gang War, which is a big crossover thing. It kind of started good, but
I see.
Seeing genre.
I seen some of the last time I went into Forbidden Planet to have a look at stuff. It was all Gang War Spider-Man stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Yeah,
so it seemed like it kind of could have been good. It was like the I think the side stories people seem to like, but I just finished the finale there, and it's like there's a lot of interesting characters. There's a guy called Digger who I think I might have talked about before. he's a character that John Romita Jr. drew before, and he had amazing action scenes in it. But it's a big fight off with, like, 20 characters, and you don't really see much storytelling to the, you just see kind of flash cuts of someone doing something over there, but you don't really see them fighting. Like, it's all just skimming over stuff. And then Ultimate Spider-Man, the new Ultimate Spider-Man, which is a big launch. There's 2 issues out. It's cool. It's kind of just taking it all back to basics. But it's a bit different. It's the universe where all the superheroes were Evil Reed Richards went back in time and kind of made it so no superheroes existed. And then I think the leader. The creator. The creator. So like, I don't know, some Tony. I didn't read any of the start off to this new universe, but like some version, the Tony Stark of that universe went back in time or in the future. I think it's something, and he said,
I think it's that's the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff is the first of the new Ultimate Universe. I don't think there's any. No. I'm pretty sure there's nothing. Is there?
Well, there's the creation of the universe,
but there's no like additional, like there isn't a context for that, because I've read the first issue as well. I don't think there's context.
No, there's something with the creator and Miles getting together to start. It's like something happens prior to Peter, to the best of my knowledge. There's at least 2 issues of maybe regular 616 Avengers that started off.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. And then Ultimate X-Men, which I was very interested in because I don't know what the fucking crack it is. It's Peach Momoko. Have you seen her stuff? I don't want to. I believe she's Japanese. Let me just. It's it's manga essentially. But I was looking at it and I was like, "Oh, hon, we're the actual X-Men." But read the first issue. Great art. She's kind of known for being like amazing. Like I think it was maybe a year or 2 ago. She's got so many fans that like she really like worked herself unwell by trying to do work at a Comic-Con by drawing for people, but she's like shit hot artist. But she's taken it off. It's the armor. Do you remember the girl from the Astonishing Run with Josh Whedon? The big red kind of energy suit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of her, but I don't really think she's a mutant. I don't know. And then there's like no actual X-Men there at all. It's just this ghost of a guy who she was friends with in school is after her, but it's more than likely not him. It's just a ghost. And yeah, first issue, didn't see really. I don't even know if I seen a mutant, because I technically did, but no like regular X-Men characters yet. So very interesting to see how it goes. I know Sunfire and like the Silver Samurai, a couple of the Japanese characters are supposed to show up, but I don't think there's any mutants in this world yet.
I like that though. I like something different. I think with the Ultimate Universe, I think it maybe the new stuff then will give Marvel maybe a chance to experiment with different things. Like what the original one I guess did, like it almost like gave that kind of that fresh seal and kind of restart.
That was more of like a fresh start, like
experiment,
let's clean up the clutter. So for new people, but this is, I think this is even a little bit different.
Which I like the Spider-Man stuff. So I'm the same as you. I read the first 2 issues of the new run because when I seen it come out, I was like, this completely off my radar, and it's like, man, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, they're doing with Peter like what people would like of the main series, to let him grow up, let him be a dad, let him be an adult. Me in particular, I'm getting up. I'm getting up there. I don't. Not necessarily kids, but
high school Spider-Man.
No, I don't want to be older than Spider-Man. It's fucking weird. Like I can't deal with it. The next thing I'll be fucking older than Wolverine.
I think he's closer to your age now, Dan.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's like 29. I don't even think they've let him. He's maybe 30.
Yeah.
That's it. But this Ultimate Spider-Man, I think, is
well in his 30s. Yeah.
Late 30s. He can be older than me again, which is great. But then there's Ultimate Black Panther, which I don't know is out yet. I haven't read that yet, or maybe it is, and I don't know anything about it. But yeah, I would say with the Peter thing, they're giving people what they want. With the X-Men, it really seems like they're going to experiment, unless this. Like, because Peach Momoko did these kind of otherworld books where it was like mixing, and I think this is what this is doing. It's mixing X-Men with like Japanese, what's the word?
What, manga?
Folklore.
Oh, interesting.
Folklore in particular. Like, there was something I think with Beast, and he was. Let me just get a little bit up because but it's very nice. It's really good. And that other book that I haven't, my buddy who's big into his comics, The Nice House on the Lake. It's a graphic novel that yeah, he says is amazing. I don't know anything about it. It's Black Label DC, which I guess used to be Vertigo. Oh, James Tynion,
The fourth. The
yeah,
Batman writer.
Well, yeah, he seems to be like crazy prolific. He's always doing
Yeah.
stuff. I also
His Batman run was pretty good.
And actually, this I'm pretty sure Jordi Belair worked on Time Before Time, and Alvaro Martinez Bueno. Yeah, and Jordi Belair, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if they're is Irish, but I think his buddies with Declan Shalvey, or at least has worked with Declan Shalvey on a couple of things. Yeah, but Peach Momoko, I think I'm gonna have to try and go back and find some of her other stuff, because a YouTube channel I often mention who kind of teaches me about comic books is Comic Tropes. He kind of mentioned her before, when he first started speaking about her. I was already just aware of this big reverence people had for her. Like, she's just supposed to be like the coolest, one of the coolest artists going. So yeah, I'll definitely want to go read some more. Now that I figured out how to do it, I'll throw in some Peach Momoko art here. And I'll retroactively go back and throw in some pictures. It's really clunky. I put it on the latest episode. It just Peach Momoko. Yeah, this is gonna make no sense, because it's not even gonna be here, so we're talking about it. Yeah. It'll be grand. Yeah, Dan, what have you been watching?
Well, first thing, me and Massimo actually played a wee game together at the start of the week called the Outlast Trials.
What's it called?
Outlast Trials. It was on behalf of
Outlast Trials.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was on behalf of Fandomwire. I've written a review that you can go and check out on Fandomwire for the game. It was me, Mass, and two other boys from the website, because it's a 4-player co-op. But so it's the third Outlast game. If you played Outlast 1 and 2, you very much get the gist of it. The night vision horror, the big naked creatures chasing you, the whole kind of grimy prison vibe. It's got all that stuff. But when you take that and put it in a co-op setting, it's really interesting to see how the dynamic shifts from that kind of isolation to the kind of group panic stations. And it would have been very easy for Red Barrels to just make a 4v1 horror game like Friday the 13th, or like with some other ones, like any kind of Evolve
Dead
was
by
the one that
Daylight.
everybody ripped off, or Dead by Daylight, any of these. They didn't. They actually made a co-op game where you have to rely on your teammates and work together to beat the mission, and it's hard. Like, it is a tough game. The trials aren't easy. It's also, typical horror game. It doesn't give you clear instructions. It kind of puts you in there. There's cycles chasing you. You don't have anything to fight back other than like a bottle that stuns them for a second.
I spent most of our playtime being chased around the map by a man with his genitals out, and
okay,
yeah,
Oh yeah, there's.
a big.
It's not a subtle game. It never has been. Outlast. It's a very graphic and
Outlast has always been
extreme violence, strong nudity. Like, it's kind of very kind of age extreme. Body horror, gore.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of
vibes
visually.
Like House of
Rob Zombie.
Corpses.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie.
Okay.
More. Yeah, kind of close to that.
But
clunky.
But listen, it's the first. I'll say this for it. It's the first co-op game that I've played in a year at least that I didn't have any technical issues. I don't know about you, Mass, but I was.
That was good.
Loaded. It looked good. The textures all worked. Everybody got in the game all right.
It was fun. Like,
it was.
Yeah, it was surprising how. Like, it wasn't necessarily as scary, which you probably talk about in your review, but it still was fun. Like, I enjoyed myself, and it was difficult, but
it's interesting how it shifts. You aren't scared of like kind of being cornered as much because you've got teammates to rely on, but it's a kind of game because there's like it does require a lot of communication to get through certain puzzles and certain tasks. So see, when you're in the middle of like doing something, it requires a few steps. Somebody's maybe picking a lock. There's a lockpick minigame. Somebody else is like carrying a tank of fuel so they can move really slowly, and then the other person's trying to like distract the monster, so that the other two can kind of do their stuff. And then something goes wrong, like they'll spawn a second monster. Sometimes randomly spawns in this guy with a gas mask and night vision goggles, so he can see you in the dark. So when he spawns in, all of a sudden it goes from like this kind of coordinated kind of routine to shit, there's two after us, we need to run, and all of a sudden everyone's just scrambling for a hiding place. So it goes from like being quite methodical to just absolute chaos within seconds, and that's where the fun comes from. That's probably the best thing about the game.
And what the monsters or whatever, like, what are they a particular type or the super?
They are no, it's no. They've been
supernatural, or-
experimented on. The idea is that that's what's happened to your characters. You've been basically kidnapped by these psycho scientist people. It's kind of MK Ultra. It's set. There's actually a bit of lore. It's this is a prequel to the first two games, so it's set just after the Cold War. When a lot of the MK Ultra stuff was allegedly happening. Be careful what I say in case I get a wee red dot sight in my head. Get Kennedy. But yeah, they kind of explore that, and it's this kind of like at the start, the opening cutscene, you're like tied to a chair, and there's these two doctors that are like, "Do you agree to this?" That they grab your head, they make you nod and stuff, and then they like drill the night vision goggles onto your face, and there's all the blood on the screen and stuff. And there's people like getting chopped apart into the next two beds. So, aye, right for the get go, you know what you're in for. But no, it was
So
good.
it's would you say like so the first game, I had to look them up there, I recognize the name. So the first games are just first person, but they're not the same type of co-op, is it, or
No,
not?
it's all
single player. It's a single player horror game.
Oh, for first player, okay. And so in comparison, like, so the kind of games you mentioned there, we've had Predator, Friday the 13th, the one with like Sam Raimi's brother,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dead by Daylight, these kind of.
But it's
is it similar enough to them, or is it just doing something a bit different?
It's doing, honestly, it's as simple as taking what was already there and making it co-op. But it works. Like they've built the game around having to work together, as opposed to just lazy copy paste. There's one monster chasing 4Es and you need to. It's just
You have to do this
there's more
objective here,
steps to it. It's like I said, it's quite. It's not the hardest game you've ever played. It's not like a Souls-like game, but it requires a bit of thinking, and it requires a bit of kind of coordination.
Yeah.
Definitely best experience with friends, because I tried playing after also I was writing the review, so I wanted to play a bit more of the game. I tried playing it on my own. It's not great on your own. You also have to do a lot more, so it's a lot harder, but it's not in a fun way. And it's better experience in a group. And then if you can get on Discord,
So
or
there is a
something.
single player option.
Yeah, you can play it yourself. But if you can get a party together, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah. What's the AI like? Do you have AI in the single player campaign? Yeah.
Are you talking about the AI, like the enemies, or the?
If you are playing single player,
Dan, yeah. Is it like an AI companions, or is it just by yourself?
Oh, no, it's just by yourself. I don't know if you can do bots.
Oh, okay,
I
so
can.
it's
I
not
didn't
exactly
actually
the
check
same
that
thing.
setting, but I probably should have. But I just played it by myself. Although, the enemy AI though is decent. It's clever enough to be scary.
It's a wee bit janky at times, though, and
Yeah.
it can be funny when you're like pressed up against a wall. But if there's like kind of, you can explain that away with like the fact that some of the things can't see in the dark.
Yeah.
So like you'll be
Certain
pressed
enemies
up against the
can,
wall, and this thing will be like right within breathing distance of you. Like one of the funniest bits was I ducked into like a hole that took you into like a bathroom cubicle basically, and I was like, okay, open the door, and I turned around and the AI enemy is ducking under the hole to get like follow me. Like, it was like it literally had
it's big Ben Arse just
like fully like an animation for it as well, like underneath and going up, and I'm like, it's like fully.
Yeah, good.
And you think, I guess, do we know much, like just in a kind of general sense, like AI with what it's able to do now with video compared to what it was able to do a year before? Do you think is AI being implemented in games more? Because like we'd always would have called game characters AI, but now we actually have more AI. Is that coming? Do you think
it's not strictly the same thing? Like when you talk about video game AI like characters, you're talking about someone has programmed certain paths that then kind of run themselves, and that's how it's AI. Whereas AI generation is like letting a computer make something, So it's a bit different. I mean, I guess that has technically been like ChatGPT has been that has its programmers, obviously. So it technically falls under the same umbrella, but video game AI is more intentional and more kind of focused than ChatGPT.
Is it to follow a very particular? They're not going to have as much creativity to whatever. But I guess even just in the realms of what's available through fighting, I guess, or
I mean,
but like it's probably pretty
I'm
limited.
interested to see
what they're actually doing.
when maybe like someone decides to do the first ever like AI generated video game. Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't
we're
know.
probably a few years off.
It's been, I don't know. It's kind of been.
They'll all have shit
So
hands. I don't
There's
know.
a game that I got
I-
offered to review
be
actually, and
grand.
I knocked it back. It was a PC game, and the AI, the way it's meant to work, is it's a detective game. So you're a detective, and you have to you use your mic, like you switch your mic on, and you talk to the characters. So you ask them like, where were you last night, and where were you when this happened, and blah blah. And then it is all
Hmm.
AI generated responses. So basically you can have a conversation with the character in the game. But I watched a YouTuber playing it. I watched Penguin Zoe or Charlie, and I watched him, and he was like, yeah, it's janky, it doesn't work. It's the intentions there. You see what they're going for, but
Yeah.
it's not. And he's also got an American accent, so I think if you were to do it with our accent, it would be even worse. Like it wouldn't pick up as well. And but yeah,
Yeah. Well, to be honest, from the editing, I'm surprised how well it picks up
Sure.
most of the things we say
Sure.
these days. Like just going back, like there's obviously certain words that doesn't get. But
sorry, I'm just rolling acting because I'm aware of time. I watched Argyle. I don't know if you've seen Argyle.
Oh,
The latest Matthew Vaughn movie.
I want to see it for a very
So
particular reason.
Not good.
It is not good. I was going open mind, hope for the best. Matthew Vaughn made First Class, which is a great film. He's made certain movies that I'm like, yes.
Kingsman?
He's made certain movies, a bit Kingsman 2 though. So it's kind of like Kingsman
Yeah.
1, yeah, Kingsman 2, no. Like so, yeah, hit or miss. But Argyle for the first half, it was cheesy. It was a bit ridiculous, over the top, silly, but it was fun, and I was going with it, and I was like, this movie's not as bad as people say. This movie's all right. It's a bit of fun. It's silly, but
Okay.
it switched your brain off. And then the second half happened, and it well and truly jumped to shark at a certain point, and then I just was not on board anymore. And then something else happened. It was more ridiculous. I thought, oh, that's it. Because I had heard that it gets ridiculous. And I was like, oh, well, that's a ridiculous thing happened. And then something more ridiculous happened immediately afterwards. And I was like, right, okay. And then something more ridiculous. And I was like, okay, that's bullshit. And by the end, it was just like twist after twist that didn't make any sense just for the sake of it. And then really like weird CGI, like PG-13 violence and just gunshots with no blood and silly dialogue. And as great as Sam Rockwell is, even he couldn't carry it himself, and it was just by the end I was like, oh man, that was all the shit. By the time it got to the post credits,
it was just so
I
bad.
totally just had lost all
disassociated. You'd
yeah.
fully dissiociated.
Yeah.
Just like, wouldn't want to be there.
Like, this is shite.
I actually heard it's better than Madam Web.
I've
though.
not seen Madam
The
Web.
bar is
that's
in hell.
a low bar, mate.
Yeah.
But I still want to watch it just because I heard it's kind of muck. Will we go into the topic then, just for to get this show on the road?
Do you want to explain a little bit more about what the actual? You obviously explained at the top of the episodes, but
yeah, well, I'll go for how the one I only figured out last week at the tender age of 36. I don't even know a lot of these. I think I saw, and like we would have shared experience with that, probably Channel 4. Just for real kind of art house. Like, I guess a lot of this, like for me, I guess a lot of these things, it's like sitter on collection, real like controversial, thought-provoking films that I just saw when I was 10, and they fucking are. Like, I don't even want to see any of these anymore, really. I don't even want to figure out exactly what they are. So the one that I found most recently was Phantom of the... I really should have Googled this before I fucking started this. It's 2 seconds. No, I'll skip to another one. I'm going to let you do one, and I'll come back to this one. So one of my earliest ones is a show called Sliver Hawks. I maybe will try and put a little bit of the video here. But I only saw like an episode or two of it when I was a kid, and it was just like superhero cartoon, whatever. But they were... the way I remembered it, they were just like musical themed and bird themed. So they all had like robot suits. And I distinctly remember one guy having a guitar that when he strummed it, it'd shoot a laser. But I just watched a quick video about it before we started recording. And he was the only guy who had a musical weapon. And everyone else didn't. But they all were bird and robotic themed. And apparently it's the same production, like a lot of the same voice actors and stuff that were on Thundercats. So they just tried to recreate, okay, these were the cat superhero people. There's more fantasy. This is like space cops but they got like robots. Like there's an android bird. Like all of this. All I remember from being a kid was vaguely their suits, and the guy had a guitar. But honestly, I for years I would say it to people. Nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. And I think I only actually found out what it was. That's probably in the last 10 years that I just literally could Google and go, bang, there it is. I'll do another one, which is a cartoon, just to get the cartoons out of the way. Ultraverse, which is it's from a place called a company called Marvel Comics. Oh, sorry,
A company called Marvel Comics.
A small startup company called Marvel
So
Comics.
you may have heard of them.
Well, eventually, of course. But so Malibu Comics, they were like a lot in the 90s, a lot of different comic book. Again, a lot of this I would know from Comic Tropes, the YouTuber. But in the 90s, a lot of different comic book universes were like, if not maybe already existed, were like putting out more comics. So Malibu Comics had their own, they called, I think it was Ultra Universe, Ultraverse, sorry. When I was a kid, I remember just randomly seeing an episode of it where there was a big blue guy who was under the sewers. He was like Hulk size, but he was all slimy. And it just burned into my head. I was like, that looks so cool. And I never knew what it was until last year when I found like a toy customizer page, but some guy made the character. I found out his name was Sludge. He was like slimy or whatever. But yeah, it was a whole it was a whole comics thing in the 90s. The big story, the kind of weird controversy about them is that Marvel bought them out, and a lot of people that kind of rumor amongst like, just internet or whatever the version of the internet was, fan groups and fanzines and that kind of stuff, that Marvel bought them out for the coloring technology that they had with comics, because they never used any of the characters. I did hear that the guy who was ultimately in charge of overall Malibu Comics had some like dodgy stories about him in real life, but I don't know. That hasn't been verified. It's just kind of weird, but like I think it's supposed to be something more mundane. Marvel just didn't use them. Yeah, but they were too, and like just I think that was the thing. It was the fact that I could say it to so many people and nobody knew what I was on about for those two. Which and now, like obviously in years later, when you have the internet, you can find people knew what these were. Like I just found someone who knew enough what it was to make a fucking customizable figure of the guy. Like so, I don't know. So maybe some of this stuff is like American stuff that wasn't as broadly repeated over here. The Sliver Hawks, for example, only has one season and didn't get renewed. But yeah, Massimo.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about it.
Yeah, I'll just list off
mystery media.
Mystery media. So I have a few. Pip. Oh, not Pip. What's your dog's name again? Sorry, I have another pal who has a dash hound called Pip, and they just for some reason immediately Mia. Oh,
hey Mia.
Mia. Oh, yo. So
watch you flop.
This will really drive the numbers of this podcast up.
Yeah. I know what the puppies.
Yeah, everyone loves puppies. Yes. So I have a few. I'm a few years younger than you guys, so some of these were a bit easier to find.
You're fucking 15 years younger than me.
It's a few.
Crazy.
Decade and a half.
I thought you were like at least 26.
I'll look it. But yeah, I have. Yeah, I know, right? I look older than Jared with this. I look 40.
And I'm bald, man.
But so I have a few, 2 animated ones and 1 live action one. One of the ones I was talking about with Jared is called Stormhawks, which came out in 2007 and was a 1-season show that I think it had 2 seasons actually, but they were fairly short. And they, I think, were premiered on the Nickelodeon Canada network, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Basically, it's like set in this kind of weird fantasy steampunky world where like the heroes are these like spunky teens who like have to save the world against an evil warlord or evil titan or whatever. I just remember it being really weird and like kind of just like the animation style was so different from anything else I'd ever seen before. I don't know if we're able to
Hmm.
use video clips from it, but if you're able to, it's really
I guess we are now.
Ah!
Yeah.
like 2 seconds.
You can just
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
pop it in. It's going to be really clunky. And
fine.
you'll probably still see the corner
of the thing.
of the
there.
overhear.
But yeah,
Sorry, go on.
this kind of like weird, quite unique animation style. I remember watching that growing up, and it was really interesting. Another one I came up with was the show that was on Sky One in the UK, called Journeyman, which had Grey's Anatomy's Kevin McKidd, Scotland's own. He plays Owen Hunt in Grey's Anatomy. He's also Tommy McKenzie in Trainspotting. And is in
Tommy McKenzie.
the guy who gets fucking who dies. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
the
not
blonde
one of the
hair.
main guys though.
No, he's the
Tommy.
other friend. Yeah.
The other friend who dies. Yeah. Anything. Anyway, but he is in that, and he's also known to play for Owen Hunt in Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, I realised when I was looking into it, really, it's just Quantum Leap, but with extra steps.
And so what we were trying to figure it out earlier.
I just remember
so what's the
watching it on TV or seeing clips on TV, and it's basically a time travel TV show with this guy like he accidentally travels through time and he jumps and stuff like that, and he appears in the close proximity to people he helps, and he just pings around throughout time. So very Quantum Leapy, but he is just himself.
You could almost say that he was pigging in Trainspotting as well. I don't know if that's is pigging a local thing, like being pigging out your nut. No.
I think pigging
on
lots
of drugs. I can guess it as
lots
most of your
drugs.
things I can guess it.
But like the whole thing is like, and I realized looking into it, like I remember bits a bit lower about how like, oh yeah, people born around when a certain comet showed up in the sky have the innate ability to time travel and stuff. And there's this weird plot twist where his wife is actually a time traveler from 1948. It's just it's stuff that came out before the writer's strike, but feels like it was affected by it massively.
Oh, so that's no.
It's 07. 07 was one season. 07
yeah.
Premiered for like 2 months. It was cancelled in April 08. I just remember watching it on Sky or seeing reruns of it, of like syndication or whatever. And I remember really enjoying it, but I also love Quantum Leap. That's another thing we should talk about, is other shows that are like, anyway, but regardless.
Yeah. But so like, what is it? You just saw it and
it just stuck with me.
It
took me a year. Like, I only found it out fairly recently when I was like, I seen a clip on like TikTok or social media about it. I was like, holy shit.
What the fuck is that?
Why do I?
It's weird how, like, you see something, and it's like, that's a lot of these for me, like, you might see a clip of it later, or like the last time my mate, I found the other one, but when someone just says it, and you're like, your man just told me the name of it, and I knew what it was. I knew it was the thing, this other one. Yeah, but we'll go for one. But yeah. And is it good? Like, have you looked up
Journeyman?
The Rotten Tomatoes score?
It's not great. Cannibalized Quantum Leap was like an early two. It got cancelled after one season. I just remember it being a ridiculously incoherent sci-fi plot. But it was other things like I seen a clip on it. I was like, oh my god, like holy shit, that's it.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll mention, which is less of a like, it was more like I forgot about it. It was locked in my memory. Is the show Lunatics Unleashed, which was another early 2000s cartoon.
Never heard of it.
It takes place in a post-apocalyptic set, kind of post-apocalyptic future thing, where it's all like young teenage versions of the Looney Tunes characters, but it's their descendants, and they all have superpowers. Wild. Ran for a number of seasons, if I'm correct. Ran for 2 seasons with 26 episodes. Ran from 2005 to 2007. Just to give you like a kind of like, it takes place in the year 2772, the year that a meteor strikes the city planet of Acmetropolis. It's great names. And the whole idea is that like 6 teenagers are called upon who are affected and have superpowers to become a superpower team. And there's a bunch of characters who are either explicitly stated or inferred to be descendants of Looney Tunes, such as like Ace Bunny, who's a descendant of Bugs Bunny, who is a stuntman, or Lexi Bunny, who's a descendant of Lola Bunny, or Danger Duck, who's a descendant of Daffy Duck, or Tech E Coyote, or Rev Runner. So, like, there's stuff like this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there was lots of Looney Tunes. Like, I think in the 90s was big for that, having like the kids. I do remember one with the kids though. What was like the main 90s Looney Tunes show, and it had younger versions, but maybe not the same ones. It was like Bugs' like niece and nephew, and I don't know, was that I can't remember.
Yeah, the Tiny Toons and all that kind of
Tiny Toons,
But yeah, that's another one that was like I remembered it, and then it kind of came back again. I've seen it on a couple of social media. Anyway, Dan the Man, Danielle.
So there's a few I kind of was going through my head, but it's kind of hard because even though these were like obscure for a number of years, obviously with the power of the internet now they don't seem as obscure and weird, kind of, because like you can look up now on IMDb and whatever. Garth Marenghi's Darkplace was one for me for a long time that I saw a bit of that years ago, totally didn't know what it was. Years later, oh my god, what's this? And then get back into it, you know, after watching like the IT Crowd and other things with those actors in it, and yeah.
I have the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Fully on Channel 4.
Another big one for me.
Channel 4 again. Channel 4, I think, brought us a lot of weirdness.
Another big one for me was Darkman, the first Sam Raimi superhero film.
The Alec Baldwin one?
No, Liam Neeson. You're thinking of what was the one with Alec Baldwin where he wore the mask?
Oh, The Shadow.
The Shadow.
I was thinking of The Shadow.
No, Darkman was Liam Neeson, and he was in a serious accident at the start of the movie, gets seriously burnt and stuff, and then he makes like certain rubber faces to wear so that he can like be close to his family. But it's a proper batshit 90s Sam Raimi movie. But it is also apparently the movie that got me Spider-Man. So quite interesting in hindsight to go back and watch it. But as obscure as kind of stuff that I know that Jared said it doesn't need to be something that traumatized you, but that was what stuck out in my mind. I remember, I don't know if you saw it as a kid, I remember seeing as a kid once in like a mate's house, Return to Oz, the sequel to Wizard of Oz. They made it
with
like,
the weird robot.
They made it in like 1990 or something. It had Fairuza Balk, a young Fairuza Balk was Dorothy, and it was a sequel to the Judy Garland movie. And oh my god, what a horrifying film that is. To this day, if you go and watch that now, it's still, honestly, what was that film?
I was having a conversation about this film 2 weeks ago because I had the same sort of moment where I had a eureka thing of I remember the weird robot that's in this film.
It's one of those things where like sometimes you mention to people and they're like, "Was there a sequel that ever happened?" You're like, no, it did. It's real. Like, it's so, like, you've got just such weird scenes in it. Like you've got this. I remember this wall thing that had a face and was talking, but it slowly like crumbled away. I think that was the villain, and the more she did things, I don't know if it was like good deeds or something, the more it like crumbled away.
That's
and more
exactly the kind of vibe that I got from mine, like stuff that you barely remember, but something visually about it just fucking scared. Like my other two were horrible.
Like you talk about the visuals, like you've got that thing where it's like slowly kind of get more disfigured and more like unhuman, like, and then you've got like the monkeys, so they were like monkey characters, kind of like in the original you had the flying monkeys. I'm pretty sure they were monkeys, but they had like rollerblades for hands, so they would like lean over, like you'd be on all fours, and they would just like wheel around these creepy, and they were called like the wheelers or something. I think they were definitely animals. I don't know what they were. They were terrifying. Then you had like this weird witch that was like the villain, but she would like swap her head, so she'd like pull her own head off, and then she'd have like a glass cabinet with all the other heads, and then she'd like pull another head and put it on, and she'd like detach her head. And again, as a child, like just seeing somebody rip their own head off and swap it with another head, like so much weird, dark, strange imagery, like for a children's movie. And it was this kind of weird low budget. You could tell it was written on lots of drugs, even though it was for kids. And it was just a bizarre experience that, like that, for years disappeared, always kind of traumatized you. And then years later, you watched it again, and you were like, "No, this is still terrifying. This is still a bad acid trip. They shouldn't have made this." It's not, because that's the thing. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just disturbing. It's just
terrifying.
Weird. Like,
just weird. And what they thought was like okay for kids to watch back then. Like some of my other ones now aren't even kids things, but some of those like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh god, the original Wizard of Oz.
Did you watch Never Ending Story? Like I don't have great memories of that. But isn't there big rock people in that?
And then the main character, was it Falkirk, drowns in a swamp? No,
is that the horse?
One of the
No, that's
the horse.
No,
the
that's,
horse.
Yeah, the horse.
the
Yeah,
horse
that's horrific.
Yeah,
thing,
the horse drowns in a drowns.
Oh,
in
I
a
thought you were
swamp.
on about the weird.
It's horrifying.
It's not Falkir's the big.
You're mixing two
Falkir's
things
the big flying thing. The horse's shadow or something like that, or the horse's whatever.
Oh, the horse
The horse,
is in
the
that
horse
too.
is
Okay, I
the
just
shadow
saw.
that talks to him.
Well, that's it. He can communicate with it, so he like can
Give me
hear
the
it
horse.
dying. Like it's.
I can hear it dying.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's why it's yeah.
I thought he just had that weird big dog.
No,
horse
no,
thing
that's
that has,
Falcor.
like,
Oh, no,
both
that's-
brains.
That's Falcor.
Falcor. Did you see, like, I think about last year, just kept popping up on my Facebook and Instagram. Someone has either the one from the film or recreation. And it's just every now and again you're scrolling through Instagram and you'll see this guy's head just in a shed at the back of someone's house, just like
Falcor's head.
But wasn't there was big rock guys in that, wasn't there?
Can't remember.
No, or mountain people. Big. I kind of have. It kind of blended into being a weird dream that I had as a kid too. But it was like a little girl, but those big rock guys from their Brendan story, if I'm remembering it right, were hugging her and crushing her. So that was just like a visual thing that, like, I don't know. That's even like I don't even really remember watching that when I was a kid, but I think it definitely got into my subconscious, and like I had some fucking weird dreams from it. Okay, so the one that I had last week that I forgot, my mate just said the name of it, and I instantly knew what it was. It's Phantom of Paradise, of the Paradise. So it's like a retelling, like it's looking at it here, 81% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm definitely going to go back and watch it. Paul Williams, no one there already know, too famous. But retelling the Phantom of the Opera.
Nice.
The only two things I remember is, so was it Studio 54? I kind of had the sense that it was like a Studio 54. It's, Massimo, we were talking about it before we were recording.
Yeah.
It's like, it was a real popular disco venue.
Oh,
and
but
drugs and all
they
that
could
kind of
have,
stuff.
yeah.
There's a Mike Myers film
Yeah.
about it, and it's appeared in a couple of things. I know very little about it. I kind of had the sense that it was that, but I think it's my friend who watched it recently was telling me it's a concert venue. And this is kind of a funny thing, is like that. The only thing I could remember from it, and I think this reoccurs in another one I have that I'm going to talk, but the Phantom of the whatever, Phantom of the Opera, Phantom of the Paradise, gets bricked into a wall, and just like, even saying that now gives me a little bit of panic. But he gets bricked into a wall. My mate says he breaks out of the wall straight away. Doesn't matter. I saw that when I was a kid. I've always had this fucked up thing about just being literally enclosed in a place. Another one that I just kind of created in my brain, which isn't from something, but the idea of just being down somewhere in a sewer, just stuck in a tunnel, and like it's slowly filling with water and you've no way out. That's just something I created probably out of that same kind of imagery, that I just think of it and I want to die, even though it's very unlikely I just randomly appear in the bottom of a sewer. But that's just imagery that's there. But yeah, just like so like I saw it as a kid, walls bricked up, and I think it's some things. It's just, if you're a kid, you probably shouldn't really be watching them. But it's hard to kind of, I guess, even if it is something kind of normal, some things just get in your psyche and like just affect you. Like, do kind of genuinely kind of scare you, I think, in a way, or just that. I don't know, that gave me like a slight complex. I think just the idea of being bricked into a wall. You just think of it sometimes and it paralyzes me. Like.
It's these horrifying moments from your childhood that then stick with you throughout your adulthood, and yeah. Like, I know it's not kind of lost media, but talking about stuff like that is the Judge Doom scene from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, with the kind of stuck with me as well. That's a scene that stuck with me for a long time. That's a good podcast topic, actually. We should probably
what the
horrible film moments that stuck with you.
We like the mystery media thing, but so we gotta wait for that. But at the same time, like my other one then is my other really big one, which I probably mentioned before, but Naked Lunch. So it's got the RoboCop guy. So I think I watched it as a kid.
Who directed that?
It's not
I think it is.
Again, is it?
Maybe wrong.
God damn it, Verhoeven.
Exactly, because so for those who our plan originally for this week was to watch Starship Troopers again and analyze it. So then because that's two Paul Verhoevens I have then. Well, the other one isn't really.
No, directed by David Cronenberg.
Oh, it's a Cronenberg film. So it is. So
that makes fucking sense. That makes perfect fucking sense. No wonder I don't fucking like David
Peter Weller, RoboCop,
Yeah.
Ian Holm, Bilbo Baggins.
Ian Holm, yeah. Well, all I remember from this film is that it was randomly on. I feel like I watched it during the day, but I don't know. Or maybe there might have been a possibility we rented it because RoboCop was in it. But all I remember is RoboCop interacts with these aliens that are, for some reason, they're typewriters, or one of them is at least, and also bugs, and then he fingers one of them. And why? I don't even want to know. I don't want to go back. I don't want to watch the film. I don't want to learn what it's about. Fuck that. Like, and I saw that when I was 10 or whatever, and I was like, what the fuck is that like? And I really don't want to watch it. Like, I know it's David Cronenberg. I watched his son's films. What's
Brandon.
Possessor? Fuck those.
Possessor was
tear
good.
them.
I liked
It's
Possessor.
so weird. Like, Possessor is horrifying, but it's good. I understand completely. It's good enough.
Yeah,
It's
The
David
Fly,
Cronenberg.
like-
I actually didn't know it was his. Maybe I heard it way back. Oh, it's a fly.
I've
Amazing,
just
but I do not want to
I've
watch
just
Naked
sat
Lunch.
and read through the plot of this film, Jared, and it's wild, man. Like, what is?
I don't even know what the plan is. I just know that he
Yeah,
figured an alien typewriter
I've
bug.
just sat and no, that's wild. Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I think that's as good a note to go on.
I think we're
as
going to beat that.
you-
Yeah. So
I don't think we're
it's-
gonna.
we're gonna,
I don't think we're gonna be.
Another one. So then Paul Verhoeven, which isn't really. It wasn't so much that it was a mystery to me, but I remember seeing it young and then kind of hearing the fanfare about it recently because I tried to do a little bit of research on Paul Verhoeven. Was Showgirls, which had one of the Saved by the Bell cast, and it's just very sexy. And
Apparently,
raunchy.
I've never seen it, but
Again,
apparently it's
I didn't
utter
think it was
trash,
Channel-
like one of the worst films ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be like, he's just kind of like, oh, I just kind of think it's funny that Western, or not necessarily Western, but like, well, yeah, to him, he's European, but saying like, you know, about American sensibilities about sex and stuff. And I think he was saying kind of like complimentary stuff, but he's like, yeah, look, I don't know, I liked it. I liked what I did with it. But yeah, that was just another one that saw as a kid, I was like, this is fucking bad. And again, you see someone from Saved by the Bell, you think it's like, oh, this will be normal enough. And it was like, not that. All I remember is that it's hypersexualized, and I was like, fucking, again, I watched a lot of weird films. But yeah, they were like just kind of random.
Let us know
ones.
your own in the comments below. Tell us yours.
Yeah.
Damn.
Any weird ones? Have you seen any of these things, even as an adult? Should I go?
Were you
should I go
affected
back
by
and
Return
watch
to
Naked
Oz
Lunch?
as a child?
Nice.
If so, you may be due
did us-
compensation.
Did us seeing any of these trigger memories for yourselves? And then you're like, oh my god, I have to go watch that thing that they just talked about on this obscure podcast.
Yeah. I just to finish off with one that I tried to Google it beforehand. I couldn't find out what it was. I know it should be easy, but it was and going back to the kind of bricking into a wall. There's one with Richard E. Grant where he has a conjoined twin. The conjoined twin is like a mole that's on his chest. And all I really remember is he goes horse riding. He's having an argument with his conjoined twin who talks like this. And then he just puts super glue in every orifice.
How to get ahead in advertising?
That's it. Yeah, I think I did find it out before, so I have to go back and watch that. I just know that. Sorry, I've spoiled that. He put super glue in that face's, but it's so fucked up. Again, why is that a thing? But like, I think we should really get a couple of these films and just like, I don't know, raise a child, see what happens.
Make a Cronenberg
I think
movie.
Really bring about.
I
the
think
end
I
times.
think a child raised on Naked Lunch, Return to Oz, Darth Marenghi's Darkplace, and
Yeah.
and various
Silver
Silver
Hawks.
Hawks
Or,
and
what are they
and-
called? Silver Hawks. That was the
and
old Hawk thing. Not Showgirls. Not Showgirls. We can't do Naked Lunch. No,
Lunatics
that's okay,
Unleashed
that's okay.
would be a sight to behold.
Well, like a college course for someone who wants to get into fucking
Sure.
weird cinema.
Sure.
Yeah. Well. Okay. We that's the what time are we at? I don't know. We're probably still 2 hours, even though
We're at 1 hour 25, so
Um,
we actually are within time.
Okay, so I'll go with mine. Yeah, sorry. When like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll go with mine. Sorry, my sign-off call, which is a running joke that only we know. Daddy's got a brand new SmackDown.
And we'll see you all on the next page.
Catch.